Okay, I'm live now on Facebook, TikTok. Welcome to 2024. I'm very optimistic and pleased about what's to happen. Today I'm sharing about, and I'm going to take my time today and really get into the deeper as it relates to relationships. The kind of relationships that at the end of the day, for everybody, man and woman, I think is so rare. In my experience, rare. As I look around and have the conversations I've had, and I've been in so many communities and cities and right, like I've experienced, okay? So when I speak, I'm speaking from a very broad dynamic. I'm not speaking as someone who's lived in the same city for all of my life, for most of my life, who's, you know, only knows this kind of people, this group of people, who's only lived this way. I've lived in different countries, cities. I've been in so many communities. I remember one time I was in this. Uh, it was this. I was like, how did I get here? I remember thinking, this is in the Bay Area, and like everybody was old enough to be my grandmother. They were all white women, and I know I just felt like I was in a movie of sorts. And I've had so many experiences like that in my life around the world. I was in the mountains in Italy, and the people just took to me, and they invited me to this private birthday party and it was in like a real village, like, you know what I mean? Like, you need wood to light your fire type village in the mountains. And I was just like, wow, you know what I mean? And I just felt so honored and grateful. And I share that to talk about, I just share with you too, right? But I've been over the course of my life thus far, I've been in so many variety of environments and ask questions, and people just open up to me and talk to me. And uh, it is rare, it is rare, okay? It is rare that people are in relationships where the people who they're in relationships with actually see them, actually know them, and still like them and love them. It is rare. Marriage doesn't mean that your spouse likes you or loves you or genuinely respects you. Just because this is your sister or your mother or your father or your brother doesn't mean that they like you or respect you or want to be in a relationship with you. I mean, it's just so common that that dynamic just isn't there in relationships where you expect for it to be there. Your mom. Your... So, I share all that to say that I know that this is rare. So that's something that I remember for myself as I'm, doing this work of gathering us in Atlanta in March. But also to speak to, because it's so rare, that's what even makes it more valuable. Okay? Whatever is rare automatically becomes more valuable. Whatever is rare automatically becomes more valuable. And a priority for me this year, even this week, let's talk about this week, okay? And then obviously for the year, but I want to presence this as much in the now as possible. Priority this week is having conversations with different women who are in my life in different ways and really clarifying what I'm looking for that relationship to be like, at least for what I foresee, okay? The now and what I foresee. And there's a real emotional maturity. There's a real emotional maturity and a true authenticity with self. It starts me with me, you with you. That's really required to be in mature relationships, nourishing relationships. And that is what's required at our gatherings around the world with God's Gather. Women, God's Gather. Women, God's Gather. And I'm going to be talking a lot more because I'm getting all in for Atlanta. We're meeting in Atlanta in March a few times. And I know that the environment I'm looking to create, the kind of relationships I'm looking for us to foster, I know it's very rare for most of you. I know it's going to grow a lot of you up. For those of you who are ready to grow up, and when I say grow up, I mean emotionally. Emotionally. So, what do I mean by growing up emotionally? I have a feeling. I want to be in connection with you. What do I mean when I say I want to be in connection with you? Let's say, um, I just think you're an amazing, magnificent woman. Let's just say I think you're magnificent. Let's say the thought of you and I engaging in a project together excites me. Let's say I have an idea. So I have an idea. I think you're a magnificent woman. The idea of us working together it lights me up. And for a lot of us, that's the front end of what's going on in our relationships. Right now, I'm talking about women and women. That's the focus right now. Women, powerful women, being in relationships together. That's the focus, right? And initially, we're drawn to each other because we like each other in some kind of a way, right? You like my makeup. You like my value system. You like what you think you know about me, and vice versa. I like whatever it is that I like, right? I'm drawn to whatever it is that I'm drawn to about you. And in a relationship that is the kind of relationships I'm looking for us to have in Women Gods Gather around the world, it's not just about, oh, I like your makeup and we seem to share values, because values are, they can be very fluctuating depending on the root of that value. Depending on the root of that value. I'm not going to go into the depth of that right now. But human beings are changing all the time. And in the environment over here, our top priority is truth. Please imagine that being placed on a t shirt. Imagine that being placed up here. Our highest priority is truth. Then, under that, it's empathy. Our highest priority is truth. Then, under that, it's empathy. So, what does that look like inside the dynamic I just explained? Where here we are, two powerful women. We like each other on the front. Okay. Hello, Bravo. How is what you just said relevant? Help me if there's something you are looking to communicate here. Make it clear, please. Hello, Cedar House. Thank you for the follow. So, how does that apply here in the dynamic I just shared? Where two powerful women, you come together, whether it's at Women Gods Gather in Atlanta, anywhere in the world, or in whatever your life looks like. And the commitment is that truth and empathy, and that's not all, but those are the top, right? And let's say I feel some kind of projection coming from you. Let's say, because we are all highly intuitive, we're all highly intuitive. We're uniquely powerful women. And that's a whole other conversation of talking about how much we interact with each other without treating each other like we see each other. Like, I see how great you are. That's why I treat you this way. I don't need to. Okay, let me be, because I can see myself ready to go before I finish wrapping up what I'm saying right here. So hold on, park that, and let me say this part right here. I'm speaking for myself, right? I think this is a practice a lot of people need to develop, and I have developed this a lot over the years. We are already at the level of intelligence, although we're not applying it. We're already at the level of intelligence where we immediately know. We already know. What happens is our shadow selves and our ego selves war and come out and overthrow what we already know deep down inside. When I see you, when you see me, I don't need to go and see how I feel about it. You don't either. When you say that, you don't really mean you need to say you feel about. What you're saying is the sort of inner friction that you have that doesn't allow you to move with speed and clarity and truth in your life. Because when you're making telling the truth a habit, there's a lightness and a speed that you can move with. You don't need to go meditate and think about it. So this is what I mean by there's a maturity that will develop in our community over here as we're gathering in Atlanta and around the world. There's such a growing up that will happen. So much of I said this in the masterclass last week. So many of you are lying, and what has happened is you have habituated lying that you don't even see that it's a lie until you actually slow down and look at why am I moving like this, acting like this, and you realize so much of your normal, the intelligence that you are very naturally for all the reasons, for the melanin, for who you are, for the soul, the DNA, all that, it is so fractured and so poisoned with the lies that you've told. That's why one of the modules in Shadow Gold is the lies you tell that create your hell. Powerful. The lies you tell that create your hell. And then these beliefs that you constructed as a result of different harm you've experienced throughout your life. So you have these protective barriers that you put up over the course of years of your life because of things that have happened that hurt, right? Somebody said something, somebody did something that hurt you. So you put up these belief systems and you've locked them in over time, practicing them, saying them. So now they get in the way of the fluidity of your knowing. So then when you come across anything, an opportunity, a person, me, and you see something, your system knows automatically. But because you've been in this whirlwind of beliefs that you created to block yourself, to block your knowing, to block your speed, to block your oneness with life, then you slow it all down. You say, I got to go think about it. I got to go. So this is what I mean by you want to return to that. You want to return to the speed of who you are. Hello? Right? So I know this is, I'm taking y'all as the leader here, I'm taking you to your premier, elevated, original state so that you can create the heaven on earth that you were meant to. That's why this matters. Okay? So now, thank you. I just needed to handle that. Thank you. You may rest now. Now we pick this back up. Now, it is rare, and I'm going to continue to talk about this in a variety of ways over the coming weeks. The level of I see you, I even see the parts of you that are undesirable. I even see the parts that you actually don't want people to see. I see your characters in this conversation right now. And are you going to tell me what you see in me? Will you tell me? Will you care enough about your experience of yourself with me to tell me what you see? Will you lighten this relationship? Will you be courageous enough and willing enough to be courageous in this relationship with me? Will you say things to me that you even think I don't want to hear? Because you also want to be free. You don't want to be in that bind of so many relationships where there's a quote, I don't recall who said it, but it says something like most relationships are two people silently agreeing to keep one another inside of the characters that they play. And so I say and do subtle things to make sure you keep acting like that way. And you say and do subtle things to make sure I keep acting this way. And all the while, we're sort of quietly resenting each other, but we maintain it because at least we have some kind of connection. And we allow ourselves to be okay with the crumbs while the resentment grows underneath. And the worst part is that the nourishment of authentic, connected relationships we never get to have. Authentic, where truth and empathy are the top, that just breaks open so much. That's why I say this is so rare what we're creating over here. And I've talked about it some, and I'm going to be talking about it so much more. And that's why the growing up happens. That's why the maturity happens. And that's why then we can start to do things that can actually happen, that doesn't get poisoned with the way that poison festers in the background when two people are in the relationship and things are unspoken. And so there's a poison that sort of festers in the background to where wherever any kind of change tries to come, or you engage in any kind of projects, all the festering poisons the project you're working on. It poisons the growth. It poisons the powerful transformation. And when the two people in that relationship can then agree because we talk about it, because we agree in our way of being, oftentimes the talking is like, even talking about it so much, it can become like this gripping, trying to make it something. Oftentimes it's less about the talking and more about your way of being in the relationship. Thank you for liking. So before I go further, I invite you to go to the link in my bio and check out Women Gods Gather in Atlanta. I'm going to be so like in this. I'm like rooting and in this and like having these very direct, open conversations with folks in the DMs. And because this rare thing, I'm so committed to this rare. It's who I've been all along. It's like, that's what I expected. I was working at that. And then you learn so much when you lean in and you're all in on something. The feedback that you get is so informative and it actually hurts. It's the hurt that feels so good. Ooh, it's the hurt that feels so good because you're really getting into the crux of your humanness. You're really getting down into the, I don't want this, but I do want this, but I want you to see me, but I don't. And, but what's going to happen? Like all that that's been in the way of you really getting the, so I have a story I want to share. Again, go to the link in my bio and here on Facebook, the link is with the video. Go to the link in my bio, check out Women Gods Gather. Leadership is required, authenticity is required, powerful anchors in the rooms are required. Thank you for liking the live, Karen. So check it out. Women Gods Gather. The link is in my bio. Details are there. We're meeting multiple days in Atlanta for various reasons. Sensual connection, communing with each other. We're having brunch another day, or I'm bringing in a breathwork practitioner another day. I actually have a breathwork class here tomorrow, so I look forward to that. Breathwork is powerful. I'll talk more about that at another time too. So here's the story, and then I'm gonna go. So I used to date this guy from Trinidad. What up? He used to be like, "What part of Grenada are you from?" And I had to find out, what part of Grenada are you from? He was a lover. I had a Trinidad. I had a Trinidadian lover, okay? And I didn't respect him, okay? You guys know it's so strange to have some of the most powerful experiences with people you don't respect, but it's just sort of easy in a way to be around them. And we got into a fight one time. Now, here's the thing. We had really great sex. We had really great sex. And I just love this. I learned so much about myself in this relationship. We got into this. So there were things that I would not say to him just because why bother? You know? That's another thing about when you're in relationships where you're not honest and you don't care. There's a way you don't even show up in the relationship. And there's a place for all this. Okay, there's definitely a place for all this. That's a whole other conversation too. It's so much rich dynamic here and counterintuitiveness and humanness and unconsciousness at play. And there's just such dynamism in this. Anyway, so oftentimes I just didn't even tell him how I felt, shut up. I just I oftentimes didn't even say it. I just acted out. And every now and again, though, I would say something like, "You're annoying," like whatever. I would say something, right? And one day I was on some I don't give a fuck shit. And the arguing started. And before you knew it, and he was really into me. This is strange. He was really into me. Okay. And before you knew it, the argument got, oh my God, it was wicked in the worst way. Like all the shit that I was thinking about him but never said came out of my mouth. Shit, mean shit he was saying to me that he had never said to me. And this is what a lot of couples do, like who are married, like, right, like actual for real boyfriend and girlfriends in long term relationships are doing this, right? Withholding so much of the truth. Okay. You feeling that, Safa? Yeah, I was like, you about to get it today. And before you knew it, oh my God. So you guys ever been in one of those arguments where you're not holding your tongue at all? Like the meanest shit you could say was coming out. But even in saying the meanest shit you could say, some actual truth comes out too. Because part of it is you saying shit to hurt, but a part of it is you actually saying stuff that you actually think and feel. So it's a mixture of the two. And what happens is the stuff that you actually feel has a tendency to land in a certain way because there's this unconscious stuff coming up between you and that person. So they're saying unconscious shit that hits and strikes you, and you're saying unconscious shit that lands and strikes them. And what it does is it sort of tears away at all the things that you've been avoiding in the relationship the whole time, all the things you've been wanting to say, but you've been scared to say. And you start saying it, and it just starts to rip, and it hurts, but it rips something open, right? Right? Somebody tears back them layers. Yeah. Somebody said, been there, and now we're in therapy, right? Because you didn't have truth and empathy at the top value system in that relationship. Truth and empathy as the top value system, which is why I say that's at the top of what we're doing at Women Gods Gather. It has to be there. You know, being in so many different relationships over the years, it has to be there. You are going to destroy your relationship if you don't have those at the top. And you're going to do it unwittingly, slowly, over time. So we were tearing each other up, tearing each other up, tearing each other up. And then finally it hit a bottom, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You go so far, it's like you exhaust, you say everything you need to say, but it's not with any empathy, it's not with any presence, it's not with any intentionality of care. It's just meant to dig and hurt and cut and and then you go until you're done, and he goes until he's done, and then you both are exhausted, and you reach a level of completeness. That happened, and then he left. He left the house. Sun Apple, hey Sun Apple. Sun Apple says love, truth, and empathy being at the top. It's at the top over here. It's at the top, top, top. So he leaves the house. Now, already this is different for him. Like just irate, he just leaves the house, and there's a kind of like irate but calm. Like this is the first time I had ever seen him like this. Okay, and we were living together, exhausted, crying with a headache from yelling at each other. Oh my God, exact. That's what it was. Exhausted, just done, 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 done. So he leaves. Hours go by. It's midnight. It's 1 a.m. He ain't back. It's like 2. Then around 2:30 ish, he comes home. I'm in the bed. I'm not asleep. You know, when you have a fight like that, you're nothing else is happening normal after that, right? He comes home around 2 because I'm looking at the clock when he coming back. What's going on here, right? He comes back around 2:30 ish. I'm in the bed. He comes and he gets in the bed. He doesn't say a word. I don't say a word. I don't want to say a word. I don't want him saying nothing to me, but there's a kind of calm. There's a kind of restart. There's a kind of like emptiness that we have hit. Okay. Now, I wasn't, as I'm talking to you about it right now, with a level of awareness and a level of maturity and intentionality, I wasn't aware of it that way back then, but I can see it in hindsight as I've processed that and so many other relationships over my lifespan. He gets in the bed, and when I tell you we make a kind of love that had never been in the relationship up until that point. Never, ever, ever. A kind of attention, a kind of feeling each other, a kind of presence. Like I'm even feeling a warmth come over my body as I talk about it. And thereafter, a respect for him came about that had never been in the relationship. Now, this wasn't about like, my man and all that, the way women start to create and craft stories. It was just a respect for the person, okay? Respect for the person. And the next day, we had a conversation and we talked in a way that we had never talked before. There was a whole new level of maturity there. And in that, I realized a couple things. One, that when you withhold any kind of truth in a relationship, because I think what a lot of people, well, I know this. One, we don't want to tell the truth because there's a kind of responsibility that comes with telling the truth. Because it's like, okay, if I tell this truth, what else is that going to open? Do I want to deal with that? And I'm also, in a way, admitting my experience here when I speak. Like if I ask you, what do you see in me? If I ask you, let's see, we're in Atlanta. We're in one of our gatherings at the loft that we're going to be at, and we're engaging in an exercise of reflection. And in that reflection, you're telling me what you see in me. All of it, not just the flowery stuff where I see your light and I see your magnificence and I see your, but you're also saying to me, I see a kind of greed in you. I see that there's a part of you that's not really telling the truth here. It's just a sense that I get. I see, like I told one of my clients, we were in a session maybe like a month ago, about a month ago. And I said to her, I notice that you talk and you'll end, and there it feels like you're not saying the whole thing, like you stop before you're actually complete in what you want to say. And then that takes us deeper in the relationship. Then she says to me, yeah, because when I was growing up, it felt like da 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 da. So that took us to another level of depth in the relationship. I had a session with a client last week. What was this? Thursday? Yeah, last Thursday. And there's a way that the relationship, I could feel that it was at a, like we were just here and something else wanted to open. And so she told me about something that she did. And I asked her, I said, so what made you do that when this is that, right? And then she went into that. And then that, it opened up. And I said, well, did you know this? And the trajectory of that, us being authentic in that versus me like feeling something, sensing something, but holding it back because what is that going to mean about what I'm thinking and how is that going to open things up and what if I'm wrong and all that, right? That's why I say being logical is a weak state for a woman. And I go in there and I'm willing to risk because the relationship is important, because the connection is important, because nourishment as a feminine being who's doing powerful things in the world, if you're not nourished, the things that you're going to create is going to be tainted with your lack of nourishment. Okay. And the goal is for us to do dope, potent, powerful things together as mature, highly intuitive beings. So where it gets to the point where we don't even have to talk much. We don't like all the talking. Let's talk about it. Let's process it. There's a way that, okay, hold on before I go there. Go back here. I was saying that we don't tell the truth because of the responsibility, what's going to happen and all that. But it also shows how we're thinking and feeling. Like, I want you to understand the nuance here. And it's time for us to be in the experience of the vulnerability. Thank you, astronaut. It's time for us to be in the experience of the vulnerability. And you can admit, like, I'm not ready for that. Woo! I see you, inner child. You can admit, I'm not ready for that level of maturity. I'm not ready to know myself at that depth. I'm not ready to know other people at that depth. I'm not ready for these kinds of relationships that require my full womanhood, that require my full presence, that require a kind of in. Yes, Safa says truth is responsibility. It is. And the kind of, that aliveness that so many of us think that we want, that kind of joy, that kind of, where you can be around wolves and vultures and demons, all these things that y'all scared of. You can be around, the evil eye. Y'all give so much damn power to the evil eye. Do you know? I could do a whole session on that. But all these things you're scared of, hater women and jealous women and your mama, how about that? Those of you who have poor relationships, unfortunately, with your mother, like all these entities and people and personalities that you guys give so much weight to, because, and what you're really saying when you say that is, I'm actually not in power, so it scares me to be around these wicked, demonic, evil, jealous, hater people because I'm actually not in my own power. They actually have more power than I do. That's what you're actually saying. Because this joy that you all are looking for, this sort of lightness of spirit, where you can enter any room, go anywhere in the world. You can be around men who you don't like, men who women call predatory, and just all the different ways that we project onto another human being and make them bad and wrong in whatever way that you do it. Because we all do it in different ways, right? Sun Apple says, yes, know who you are. The joy and the lightness you're looking for, the kind of freedom of expression and one with, because you only really get there at a sustainable way when you are one with anything that a person could call a demon. Anything that person could call an evil eye. You could walk into a room, see a woman looking at you with a kind of, you know, evil admiration, if you will. And you can see that and take that in, which is why my own all energies process is so powerful. I'm telling you, that's why I say most women don't want full power. They don't want it. And you can take in that energy from her. You can take in that energy from a man and recognize that every single human being is divine, even your demons, baby. Every single sentient thing is divine. Take that in. Yes, every single one. It's how you're looking at it and how you're interacting with it that makes it be. Huh? How about you know how to be so present with that entity that it shifts in your presence? See, y'all like to talk about this, but you're lacking the beingness that's required. The beingness happens in my own all energies process. It's what women were never supposed to learn how to be because you were supposed to default to male authority. You were supposed to default to the priest, which automatically puts you in a weakened state, but they don't tell you that. Yeah, see, I repeat, this is full power over here. Full. That wetness, that perpetual wetness of your PUSSY, that ability to be able to regenerate very naturally because you're doing and being and taking care of yourself in such a way which is inclusive of these nourishing relationships that I'm talking about, where you regenerate. You know how to you're not exhausted all the time engaging in all these things. Inner child said that is so good. Sun Apple says speak on it. Thank you for all those roses. It is time for us to experience this. This is rare. This is rare. My whole being is in this. This is what we doing, y'all. This is where we going. And let me be clear, it's not all sunshine and roses. So if it seems like it's just, you go through hell to get to heaven. What is hell? To a lot of people, vulnerability is hell. Having your unconscious spoken to you can feel like hell to a lot of people. Happy New Year, original woman. Let me repeat that. Having your unconscious spoken to you by a person outside of you can feel like hell. Hell, what do I mean? Your ego, boy, that's hell to the ego. When you have a lot of stories that you've created, remember earlier I talked about you got hurt when you were 12, 17, 24, and that hurt caused you to erect a belief system as a way to keep yourself protected. And you've been telling yourself this for a long time. Well, see, because men are like this is why I'm like this. Well, see, because I'm like this because women are like this, right? And you created that because of those three experiences you had, one at 13, one at 18, and one at 23, with women that hurt. So to protect yourself, hey, Happy New Year. You created a belief system, a story. See, this is why I'm like this because women are like this. This is why I'm like this because women are like this. This is why I'm like this because women are like this. Okay. Then you get to 37 and you are trying to create something, but the belief that you have about women is in the way. And then somebody like me comes in your life, or you have an experience with somebody who you met at a networking event, online, at a workshop, at your gym, your therapist, right? And it totally slaps that belief system that you've been holding for a long time around. I'm like this because women are like this, as a way to protect yourself. And now that protection barrier needs to come down so you can get the nourishment and the connection that you haven't had up till now because of that wall you put up. Thank you for all those hearts. I see them. And if you're not ready to drop that belief because, but if I drop this, will I get hurt again? Right? That's what your deep child is saying. That's what your ego is saying. And so when somebody says to you, say you got this belief system that because women are catty and ain't shit, that's why I don't fuck with women. Let's say that's been a belief system you've been holding for 20 years. Let's just pretend, right? And a woman comes into your life who's nothing like that. But you hold on to that very tight, very close. You hold on to that. You are going to be looking for cattiness in a woman who don't act like that. You're going to be looking for pettiness and cattiness, which means you're projecting that onto her. So anything she could be doing that's not catty at all, you're interpreting it as that. So then when she says to you, she starts to speak your unconscious to you. Kay says precisely. So then when she says to you, it seems like you have an issue with women and like a cattiness thing. And all for 20 years, you've been saying that's other women. And she speaks that to you and you're not ready to let that go. You're going to create a war, a fight, and you're going to abandon ship and project that onto her. This is why I mean, it's so time for us to be in the experience of it and go through the hell of it, because that will feel like hell to your ego that wants to hold on to that for protective reasons that no longer serve you, because now you're looking to be a fully expressed woman. Now you're looking to be in these rare relationships. You guys, this is rare. Or you ladies, gods, this is rare. So I'm inviting you right now, if you know that you're ready for this level of rare relationship and you like to practice that outside of Women Gods Gather, we're gathering in Atlanta. Get your ticket today or save up the money to come. Let me say a few things. I prefer women in the room who are 35 and up. 35 and up. Here's why. Here's why. And I'm not saying you can't come if you're 30. Like if you're between 30 and 35, fine. Let me explain why. You guys know of rites of passage historically. The gatherings are in March, Sun Apple, and all the details are on the page, like the dates. The times are also there too. There's an agenda. It's a soft, flexible agenda, but I think there's enough of an agenda for you to have some idea of what's going to happen. So when you click the link in my bio, you can read all those details there. Dates, times, what is expected, and then obviously maintain flexibility. You guys are aware of rites of passage historically, right? Where, at 16 or at different ages, 12, boys and girls went through certain experience to prepare them for the next stage of their life. And if we just look at that, bring that into modern times, okay? For example, for those of you who are over 30, right? You know that at around 25, let's even back it up to middle school, right? All of us went to school at middle school at around 12 years old, right? Around 12 years old. Maybe you went at 11, maybe you went, 13 or 12, 10. But around 12, we go to middle school, right? That graduation from elementary school to middle school is a rite of passage. Our school system just doesn't honor it as such. That is right. Can we just own that? That to go from, in the fifth grade, I was playing high jump, right? There was still such an innocence to elementary school. Then when you get into middle school at 12, you're going to school with 14-year-old boys who hormones have kicked in, etc. And there's no preparation oftentimes. There's no like class or sort of like an in-between program that prepares you for middle school, right? So that process of going from elementary school to middle school is a rite of passage. We just don't honor it as such, right? One thing that we do give some sort of honor to is Sweet 16, right? In America, we give a sort of honoring to turning 16 years old, right? They call it Sweet 16. Kay said so true. Who's that? Cusp? I can't see. Cusp Cowboy. Shouldn't the parents have a role? The parents do have a role. And, so many parents don't, depending on the generation you come from, like my mom didn't talk to me about sex at all. She was not that kind of mother. And a lot of young girls, their mothers don't talk to them about sex. They don't talk to them about boys. And some mothers do, tell their, 12-year-old daughters, look, you're going to middle school now. There's going to be boys there who are 14. They have hormones. They're like this, they're like that. Like there was no conversation for me like that when I was 12 years old, right? I'm fresh out of elementary. I got my backpack. I'm used to playing jump rope. You know what I mean? And you're just a little girl and you about to go to school with boys who want to kiss you and grab at you and, right? That can be traumatizing to you were just playing with 10-year-olds and some 9-year-olds and now these 14-year-old boys in your face. That can be very traumatizing for a little girl, Somebody said being raised by boomers has been devastating for an entire generation. In some ways, yeah. It also has been very wonderful too. There's pros and cons to life. There's pros and cons to life, period. No matter your generation, your lifestyle, there's pros and cons. Anyway, so then Sweet 16, right? Sweet 16 is a kind of rite of passage. 16 years old, right? They have the bar mitzvah in the Jewish community. They have the quinceañera and the Latin community. And all of these are a sort of rite of passage to honor the graduation to the next age, right? And then for those of us who are over 30, right, when you hit 25, they used to call it, I don't know if you guys still call it what do they call it? The mid 20s crisis, Inner child says, I love your balance. Thank you. It's just when you really get into one with, you naturally come into a balance that is one with all. I want that for you all so much. And you will have that if you do this quarter life crisis. That's what it's called. Thank you, inner child. Quarter life crisis. And that's where around 25, folks start, what am I doing with myself? Any decisions you've made between 18 and 24, you start to not want to be like that and live like that. And, you start. So all of these are demonstrative of um, um, uh, what did I just say it's called? Rite of passage. All of these are demonstrative rite of passage. We just don't treat it as such as much in the American system, okay? And so the reason why I say I prefer 35 and older is because there's an experience that a woman has between a variety of experiences that a woman has between 25 and 35 that mature her quite a bit, that mature her as far as career is concerned, that mature her as far as just life is concerned, that mature her as far as relationships with women, relationships with men. Usually by the time she hits 35, there's a way she's come to see her mother differently. For a long time, a lot of us we don't separate our mother as she's a woman first, like she's her own woman, then she's our mother, right? So sometimes it takes a while for us to recognize because we're so busy looking at her as our mother. So we sort of hold her to a standard. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. So we sort of hold her to a standard because this is my mother. And then as soon as we graduate in our age and we mature and we live a little longer and we start to come into our own womanhood, we start to realize that, wow, my mom is a woman first. Like she was a whole human being before I got here, you know? She has her own problems. She has her own trauma. She has her own desires. She's like her own person. And all of these details, all of this sort of happens between 25 and 35 years old. And what happens in that maturity, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. You guys want to, everybody who doesn't have a profile photo, you want to get a profile photo if you want to engage with me, okay? Of your face, of your beautiful, beautiful face, okay? That happens oftentimes between 25 and 35. And so that maturity in you, your experience with your own self, with your mom, with your dad, siblings, career, men, perhaps you've had children, maybe not. The life experience in that prepares you for the really mature, high level adult work that we do here at my company. Whether it's inside of Shadow Gold, whether it's inside of Women Gods Gather, whether we're inside of Speak, or anything that my company offers. The reason why I'm saying that our work here is rare, the relationships that you're cultivating here are rare, is because the work that we do here, most people are not doing. Okay? What makes it rare, what makes it so valuable is because it is rare. If it's in abundance, if it's normal, if it's everywhere, then it decreases in value, in cost. For example, if you go to Italy, baby, you can get some of the finest leather for cheap in Italy. Why? Because it's in abundance. It's everywhere. You go to Florence, there's a leather shop on every corner. Matter of fact, this is a python leather bag, real python, made in Italy. If I bought this in the United States, I'd be paying over $1,000 easily. You know what I paid for this in Italy? About $350. Okay? Why? Because leather of all qualities, and you get very high quality leather in Italy, it is in abundance. Therefore, the cost is lower. Now, when you come here to the United States or somewhere where leather is in low supply, you got to travel to go get it. You got to go through 3, 5 people to get to the leather. It's suddenly the value of that leather is much higher. The same thing with these quality of relationships that we're cultivating here. They are rare. When you do difficult things, and you guys have heard this before, anything that is valuable, oftentimes there's an investment of energy, of time, of money. This is why I say the hell that we will go through, most people don't want to go through. And when I say hell in this instance, I'm talking about the defying of your ego. The part of you that wants to stay separate and be really right in your stories around these walls that you've erected, to stay away from people, to make up because they're like that, because that, see. And every filter that you look through is to prove again and again and again that the story that you created is right, versus creating a new story because you want a new experience, having different kinds of relationship conversations that include empathy and honesty at the top, because you're probably lying to yourself, which is why you're in the relationships that you're in. You're not being forthright, and you put honesty and empathy at the top. Then you start having different kind of conversations. Then you start bringing in, attracting very naturally different kinds of people. You're seeing them different. You guys are having different quality of conversations with which elevates the relationship. And here is to me, like, so the relationship is wonderful and bountiful. But to me, here's what makes it really wonderful. Then we can do things that we really want to do that we're unable to do now because we're not in the relationships. When we are in relationships where we are telling the truth, and my time is coming to an end, where I see you and I say it, you see me and you say it. And no matter what ugly that I see in you or you see in me, our commitment is to the transformation, first to ourselves, right? I know for women, a lot of times having another person there helps us to do a thing that we wouldn't do on our own. So that's one of the values of the relationship. But we're also remembering that we're doing this for ourselves. When we're in these kinds of quality relationships, all the things that we want to do at a macro level, like collectively, globally, and other things we want to do at a micro level, we finally get to do it because all of the friction in the relationship is dissolved because we're not lying, withholding, trying to keep each other inside of characters because we're trying to grip the relationship to make it stay a certain kind of way, which inevitably makes it stale and it declines, which declines our whole energy, our frequency. So I imagine that you guys have, you know, seen the dynamism here. Sun Apple says, I love this so much. Yeah, I'm glad. And if you're ready to go into the actual experience of it with women who want the same thing, who are getting themselves at the same level of readiness, you know, because any woman who comes to my event, you know, she's a certain breed of woman. And the authenticity in the space, because we're going to be gathering in a loft in Atlanta. Bright, I love big windows. I love windows that go from the whole wall. I like those kind of windows, take up the whole wall. So we have windows that take up like, I think 3/4 of the wall based on the picture that I saw. And bright, natural, lots of natural light. So we have a loft, a spacious loft with natural light. And the intention and the space that we're setting there is authenticity, truth, and empathy at the top. When that is in the space and everybody comes with that, and we constantly keep that anchor down throughout all the days that we're gathering, there's a sort of permission and an unlock that happens when you enter the room. Wow, this is so powerful. And I'm so ready for this. So ready. So I want you to DM me with your questions. I don't want you to let anything get in the way. Nothing, nothing. If what I said about the rite of passage and you're 30, even if you're 29, right? You're 32, etc. But you in your heart of hearts know that you're ready for this level of maturity, this level of self-responsibility, this level of growing up because you're ready to be in these kinds of dynamic relationships that graduate you to creating such profoundness, lightness of spirit, able to interact with all the energies of life, all the demonic, all the evil, all the everything that right now you avert or afraid of, or you sort of trepidation and tiptoe around, right? And you're ready to really mature yourself in this environment. Don't let anything stop you. Let's get into a conversation now. Anyway, just DM me, say, hi, Naima, I'm coming. I plan to pay within a month. Hi, Naima, I'm coming. I'm paying today. Hi, Naima, I just want to say hi. Like, just start the conversation. Okay, just get into it. Okay. I told a woman about 2, 3 months ago, I said, even if we're not going to work together now, even for the relationship that could happen later, just be straight with me now. You know what I mean? We're going to be here until we die. Just be straight. Just be straight. We may never work together, but just be straight. It's good for your spirit now and later. Okay? So this is dynamic. It's multi-tiered. It's rich. It's so rich. So rich. All right, so let's bask in this richness in person together. Let's feel, smell, touch, see each other. All your sensualism, opening up of your pussy, relaxation of your pussy, the yesness, the gratitude and appreciation of your yesness. Girl, listen, come on. You ready or you not? Right? You ready or you not? You ready or you not? All right, I'm on my way out of here. So this is where we're going. I'm so delighted. All right. Hey, Mark. Thank you. Hey, Sun Apple. Yes. All right, I'm out of here, y'all. As a reminder, I am here every weekday at 8 a.m. here on TikTok, here on Facebook. TikTok does not allow the replays up. If you ever want to see the full replay, because I'm here every weekday at 8 a.m., you can come over to my Facebook business page to see it. That is at facebook.com/Naima Singletary #1. Facebook.com/Naima Singletary #1. I love you all. Let's have these rare relationships. Let's defy all the negativity that's happening in the world. You are responsible for your energy entirely, no matter what ugly shows up in your field. Convert it to the energy that you desire. We not matching energies. No, we not matching. We are setting the tone for the energy. Okay? You are powerful beyond measure. I'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific. Mwah! Bye. Bye-bye.